Hello, welcome to the 5-day writing challenge. I'm Vicky Lord, your host, and I'm so excited for today. Today is day 4 that we are doing our final piece of written up before we turn it into a full process tomorrow and bring it all together. So this today, we're going through the power of polarity in writing. So polarity, you may know it as the sun and the moon. They come together. They both serve a purpose. Or masculine and feminine, they both have a purpose. Or you may know of it as um, the oceans and the hills. And so I've got some examples here for you today. So this course comes with a worksheet. Your worksheet, I will drop the link below. You have a Thinkific um, little course where I'm hosting it, and you can download your worksheet for day 4 there. So the challenge that we have for today is we're going to write a little bit about opposites and how they attract or how they do not get on. So not all opposites attract. So some of them do not get on. And I'm really curious to see what you write about your opposites. So going through the worksheet for today, you're going to choose your opposite. What opposite lights you on fire? So I've got some examples here. I've got the sun and the moon, the day and the night, the masculine, feminine, male, female, the light and shadow, and strength and vulnerability. But you don't have to use any of them examples. You can choose whatever you like. What's your one? Is it joy and sorrow, or is it happiness or fear, or love or fear? So go and choose something that you're going to experiment with writing opposites with. And so you got to look at the relationship between these opposites. And I want you to consider, are they in harmony or are they in conflict? So if you think of love and hate, the two opposite ends, and they look like they're in conflict with each other. Um, you can be the judge of whether they are or not, and how you can bring a balance to the two. So through creative writing. So stay with me, and this will make sense by the end of this little challenge. And then the next thing you want to realize, so after you know if they're in conflict or in harmony, you go to the next part, and it's, do they complement each other in their journey of life? So through, if you think about death and life, um, the flowers in the garden, they die off, their seeds go into the ground, and the next year they bring up some more life. So there's the cycle of death and life in all things as well. So it looks like it's in sorrow and pain, which it is at times, and then the life comes through. So the next thing is, how do they interact and coexist? So very interesting about the polarity of life. And so now that you've got your polarity, so you've got, we'll use the ocean and the hills, for example. So the ocean is down lower and it's full of water. And the hills are up higher and there's no water, there's grass. Unless it rains, then there's grass up on the hill. And so we've got these two polarities. We've got the ocean and we've got the hills. And so how can we bring these two together with some descriptive language? And so I wrote a really simple one, which will give you an idea. It's like the ocean, because the ocean's swaying, the ocean beckons to the hills and the hills listen. So that's how we joined the two with some descriptive language. So what can you come up with your two ends of polarity? And you can use your favorite words that you wrote down on day 1. So if, for example, I use the word freedom. And so here I've got the ocean and I've got the hills. And so if I wanted to incorporate my favorite word, freedom, I would say something, I'd use my imagination. This may take a bit to learn, but it's really rewarding. So I'd say I'd use my imagination. I'm like, what does my imagination want to bring to life here? And I'd be like, okay, the ocean speaks of the freedom of movement to the mountains and the hills, and the hills sway their trees back to the ocean's freedom of choice. So that was just off the top of my head. But if you've got your good old handy pen and paper, it will come to life a lot more. So that's your challenge for today is to do something descriptive with the two opposites that you've chosen. Um, and then I want you to try and switch it around. So we use this example of the ocean talking to the mountains, but what if you wanted to go the other way and you wanted to do the mountains talking to the ocean? I mean, the mountains talking to the ocean, the hills talking to the mountain, or to the oceans. Um, so as a real mindset challenge. So the example that I have written down here is for a moon and a sun. So I've got the sun roared at the moon with its blazing heat, declaring it's time to rise. So the moon is speaking to the sun, saying, rise up. Um, and then I've switched it around. I'm starting this time with the moon. So the moon whispered softly to the sun, it's my time to rest. Um, so that's your challenge for today. And if you do this, I'm so excited because tomorrow on day 5 is going to come together and you're going to be really proud of the writing that you've done. So there's some worksheet prompts there for you that you can go through and answer the questions that I just went through with you. Take some time to do this. And before I go, I wrote some on my board just here about some opposites. So just to give you a bit of an idea on where we're going with this. So when the sun shines bright, shadows emerge and fall. So when the sun's up in the sky, bright as, it can also create a shadow. The two opposite things. One cannot exist without the other. So there's the whole speaking into existence, I suppose to say manifesting. So one cannot think it without it becoming manifest. So here's one from balance. So to know peace, you must first know chaos. But if I was going to add descriptive language in there, I'd probably talk about the whispers again. So like a connection word. So to know peace, you must first walk the path of chaos. So it's like a doing word. And to feel strength, you must first dig your way out of the weakness. And so the last one that I'll say is that so something has to be, so sorry, no, nothing has to be something for it to be nothing. So nothing is something. That's the challenge for today. And believe me, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. So have some fun with your opposites challenge today. And I'll meet you again tomorrow where we will go to day 5, bring it all together and create a beautiful piece of art that you can share with your friends. Okay, so don't forget to get your worksheet. I'll link it below where you can pick this up and have an amazing time writing.